This is Perry Blackburn with Cowboy and Cadillac.
And there's gonna be a part 2.
A la dos.
And good morning and welcome to the Cowboy and Cadillac Show. That is
Cowboy.
and I am Cadillac. And today, folks, we are with a very special guest. Cowboy, you want to tell the folks who we have here with us today?
Yeah, I sure do. If y'all watched this a couple episodes ago, y'all saw us drink a little horse.
We have not been drinking yet, just so you know.
We're working on it, though. We're fixing to. American Freedom Distilleries, which actually kind of roundabout way put us in touch with a Perry Blackburn, which is our guest today, which is a Green Beret, fought in Afghanistan. And I want to make sure I get this right. You were 2001, 2002 era.
That's right.
Okay, so today we're going to do a little talking with Perry about his military and about where he came from and what came about. And we're also going to talk to him about how did he lead into what he's doing now. Right. Something super, super special about this to us is, and what Perry stands for is our freedom and what we stand for. And what we like-minded people like to think that that everybody's out there struggling and fighting for.
And so when we talk about like-minded people, you know, we're going to remind you guys once again exactly what we are. We are God-fearing,
gun-toting,
free market capitalists here at this show. So also, just so you know, we're going to give you a quick hook here. We want you to hang on with us. We're fixing to do some real special things here at the location that we're at. But if you've ever seen the movie 12 Strong, Perry led his own individual men in about an army of 900 of dealing with local warlords. The same thing you saw in that movie is exactly what Perry did and was involved with, so you don't want to miss this podcast. Today, we are broadcasting from the Bad Monkey in Ybor City.
That sounds bad.
It
Bad
does
Monkey.
Sound bad. Yes.
Matter of fact, they gave us both a shirt.
Look at here. I'd
I
like
thought
to.
it was pretty cool.
Hey, Felix, I'm going to turn around so you get the back of this shirt here right quick. Let me slide over next to Perry.
He just wanting to show off that he can wear a small still.
Y'all like it?
Yeah, look at the muscles.
So,
They were ripping through that shirt.
this is not a medium either, is it, Perry? Steve will
small.
tell you it's an
It's
actual
small.
large.
Hey, so listen, and since we are at the Bad Monkey and we've got a little something special, y'all can see our setup's a little different today, other than we have 3 glasses because Perry's with us, but we've also got a couple of cigars, pretty special cigars. These are Bad Monkey cigars. Bad Monkey. This is going to be
Yeah,
this is going to be
good.
This is going to be fun. But we're going to bring in the manager here at Bad Monkey, which has also got some military background.
Yes.
Works with the police department here in Tampa.
Yep.
We're going to bring him in. He's going to
Steve,
bring in our
come
whiskey
on
that
over.
we're going to be drinking today and kind of give a little background on Bad Monkey. Come on right up here behind. Come on right in between us.
How you doing? I'm Steve Previch. I'm the general manager here at the Bad Monkey. I'm retired Tampa Police Department and retired Army, U.S. Army Reserve. General Dave Scott owns the bar. Great place here, 1717 East 7th Avenue. When he found out the colonel was coming here, 5th Group, the general had the pleasure of serving with him, and he wanted, this is the horse soldier bourbon that he normally keeps in a cabinet back here for his graduating class, 1977, the Cellar Rats U.S. Air Force Academy when he graduated, and that's normally saved and reserved for them to have a shot together when they come here, but he wanted you guys to have some of that
awesome.
bottle, which is one of the first batches that were created by them.
Wow.
I know I feel special.
I feel honored. There's
Matter
no
of fact,
doubt
it gave me a
about
little
it.
bit of a chill,
Yeah.
just him talking about it.
I'm going to tell you, we love our country.
We
at
do.
the Cowboy and Cadillac Show, and this fine gentleman like this right here, and the general himself, that they make liberty and freedom what it is for all of us here, whether you understand that or whether you don't. Today, we hope that we can bring more understanding to that, to you, in understanding exactly the depths of what the sacrifice is that brings these things a part of us. So for us, to you guys here at the Bad Monkey, we can't thank you enough.
Absolutely.
And this is very special. So thank you very much, and please pass our thanks and gratitude along.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thanks,
We appreciate it.
We'll talk later.
Perry, would you like to do the honor, start popping the top
You know
here
what?
while we're...
I absolutely would.
Yeah.
This is phenomenal for us. This
It really is. You ever heard, it's kind of like starstruck here in the middle of all this going on for me.
Well, I'll tell you, the fellas that do this, that started this business, they're good dudes. I mean, they're good people. They were all in Afghanistan with me, and they decided, their business was to bring Horse Soldier liquor, a good bourbon, to the folks, and it is a good bourbon. Taste it. You'll be very
I promise
impressed.
we know this is going to be like the finest wine.
Yeah.
Is what I would call it, but maybe just whiskey instead.
Yeah. So we're going to have to introduce Perry.
Do we?
To how we toast and why we toast the way we do.
Sure thing.
Yes.
So, well, first of all, Perry's our guest today on the Cowboy and Cadillac Show. I say we let him give us the toast of what we're going to toast to. So, Perry, what would you like to toast to today?
Well, I tell you what, two things: liberty and absent companions.
Liberty
And absent companions.
Now, listen, I do want to say one thing, Perry, that
Yes, sir.
when you toast somebody, if you're not looking at them in the eyes when you make that toast, you'll have bad sex for 7 years.
Oh, I'm gonna have good sex now.
Good.
All right, there we go. There we go. Come on, cowboy.
Now, that's not sex with me, of course.
Or God,
Cadillac
no,
over
because
there.
then we wouldn't be God-fearing, gun-toting, free
No.
market capitalists.
Right.
Let me say that right now.
That is delicious. Absolutely delicious. For y'all at home that have not experienced this whiskey, go out and buy a bottle.
Yes.
Like immediately buy a
Are
bottle.
you tearing up?
Oh, no. I promise not at all.
He's burning up just a little bit. I can tell you that.
So Perry hasn't heard the whole backstory on us, but I'm a Jack Daniels fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back in the mid-2000s, I bought a barrel of Jack Daniels and ended up with about 242 fifths that, of course, Cadillac helped me finish off. We don't have any of that left now. Maybe a couple of signature bottles, and that's about it from the master distiller there. So this morning, I say we go ahead and cut right in. I'm going to save those cigars till right here at the very end. What do y'all think?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let me say this, though, real quick.
Yeah.
From a Jack Daniels Squire,
Yes.
I'm not asking you to roll on your brand,
Okay.
but I am
I
asking
would
for your
never
honest
do
opinion
that
about this whiskey.
to Jack Daniels.
Right here. Honest opinion. Let everybody know what you think about Horse Soldier whiskey.
It is easily top notch.
It is.
In my book, without doubt. It is good stuff. And I'm a single barrel drinker from Jack Daniels.
And I'm a gentleman Jack drinker. I'm with it. 2 thumbs up from Cadillac.
There we go.
Yep. And 2 thumbs up for the Bad Monkey. You guys, if you're in the area or come to the area, you need to come here and check the place out. It's great. Steve's fantastic. These guys have been absolutely wonderful, and we can't thank you enough, Steve. Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it for sure. So let's jump into this. This is exactly the kind of thing that we talk about on our show that allows us to have the free market that we have.
Right.
And for us to be entrepreneurs and for us to do business is guys like Perry. So Perry, just kind of jump in a little bit and if you want to, kind of a little bit about your childhood. You jumped in, you were an Army brat, I think you told us earlier in conversation, and kind of give us a little bit of background on you.
Army brat. My dad was a retired sergeant major. We got a retired first sergeant over there, so I know the enlisted ranks real well. Went to University of Arkansas.
Yeah. Hey, go Hogs.
Go Hogs.
Woo Pig
I've been in
Suey.
Hogs. Got my ROTC commission from there, and then went on to the Army and joined Special Forces. And ended up in 5th Special Forces Group in the 90s as a team leader, combat diver, scuba team leader. Had a great time. Loved being in the Army. Love everything about it because of the people. I think one of the things that we don't realize is how good the people are that are in the military. I mean, they're just good folk. Just people you want to hang out with, people you want to command. It makes it easy to go to work. Right. Best job I ever had in my whole life.
Right.
None better than and no more responsibility ever in my life than to command America's best in combat. I mean, it's truly a privilege, an honor to do something like that, and for our country. And at the time, 9/11, which is that's damn near 20 years ago.
That's crazy.
Perry,
isn't it?
let me ask you this: when you went into the military, and I just gonna kind of jump in there, when you went in the military and you went into the Army, Of course, you probably already knew you were going to go to the Army. You knew that was the place
Yeah,
for you.
no doubt.
About it.
That was happening.
So once you went into the Army, did you know immediately, hey, I'm going Special Forces?
No.
So how did that decision come about in your career in the Army?
I was actually trying to go to Ranger School.
Okay.
And the class was full. And they said, hey, recruiter came down and said, we're looking for guys that go to Special Forces School. You interested? Sure.
Right.
It sounds challenging. It's got the word special in front of the word forces. It's got to be pretty cool, right?
When my wife calls me special, I think she means a whole different type of special.
It's a different kind of special.
Yeah,
That's like football helmet and crayon special.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely, folks. Right.
So yeah, that's kind of weird way. That's how I ended up. And at the time I was married. I married my high school sweetheart. I have to put a plug in for her because not too many of us were able to keep our marriages together because it's a hard life. Sure. But she didn't know what she was getting into, but she hung in there, and we had a great family together. I think my son actually might have served in the unit with him in Florida. And
he's talking about
in
just
Iraq.
y'all can't see him. He's standing behind the camera. That's
Talking about Mr. Steve here,
Yeah.
GM at the Bad Monkey.
right.
And so the only time, just real quick, the only time my wife and I ever had a kind of where she's like, you better go. We got that call, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and nothing good. I was like, yeah, this is Colonel Blackburn. Can I help you? This is Captain such and such in Iraq. I just want to inform you, your son's been wounded.
Oh, wow.
He was in Mosul. And so I'm like, okay, but we're stabilizing him, and we'll let you know. So that was kind of a courtesy call from a profession,
Yeah.
right? All of us professionals in arms, they called me, they knew who I was, and my wife was like, you get over there right now and find out what's going on with my son.
Boy. Right.
And that was the only time in our whole marriage, in my career in the Army, where she intervened and like, yeah, you need to.
You're going.
You're going.
You didn't have a choice.
There was no question.
Yeah.
I don't care how you get there. You didn't do this in the Army for this long, not to go over there and find out what's up with our son. Anyway, I wasn't able to. But I didn't come home for like 3 days pretending like I was going over there.
That's a wise man. That's a wise man right
Wise
there.
man, very wise man. So it is hard. It is hard for a wife then, for a guy in the military that's going and fighting. And are you coming back?
Are you coming back?
And and if you do come back, what are you going to be like in a mental state and the fight and everything else that you're going to be involved in while you're over there? That's brutal.
Well, and bringing it up to the point of 9/11, for most modern history anyway, none of us had ever experienced anything remotely close. And so the patriotism, the American spirit, the anger that we saw kind of come behind that. One thing that on the 12 Strong movie that we saw was how
people,
men and women in the military, they wanted to go. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So nobody knew what we were going to do, but we knew we were going to do something. I mean, there was rumors all through the unit. And really, Afghanistan is not really where you would say 5th Special Forces Group's area of responsibility is. We're Middle East, Africa. I spent most of my time in the Middle East and Africa. And so we didn't know who was going or what we were going to do. But understanding General Mulholland, who was Colonel Mulholland at the time, our group commander, took off to brief the Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States on what could Special Forces do in Afghanistan.
And that was Bush at that time.
And that was Bush at the time.
Yeah.
He wanted to hear from the commanders what they could do, not from the staff officers.
Okay.
Which is very important delineation. I want to look the commander in the eye. What are you going to do for this country? Who are you going to send, and what's your plan?
Right.
And he liked 5th Group's plan. And he said, I want a low, least amount of footprint possible. Unconventional warfare sounds great to me. When can you go?
Unconventional warfare.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let me just stop real quick and ask, just so our audience can understand, unconventional warfare means what?
It means we're not going to go in and like big army and make the rubble bounce, is what we like to say.
Okay.
With big tanks and big armament and all this stuff. We're going to go in and we're going to work by, with, and through the forces that we have available to us on the ground. Whether
this
that
is
be
not like-
warlord, go ahead.
So this is not like fighting Germany then.
No.
This is nothing like Germany. This is straight up. We're going in clean, low profile, and we're going to basically sneak in on this situation without really doing a lot of damage to the area.
Correct. We're going to infiltrate the area, link up with the warlord, establish rapport, and then build a fighting force and go after the bad guys.
Warlord. I don't know if y'all heard that or not,
Yeah.
but I just had another chill kind of run down my back when he said warlord.
Right, and you know, when you say warlord, you think about all kinds of things, obviously for guys like you and me that you've seen in the movies all
I
over
think of a
or whatever.
crazy ass, just nutcase that doesn't have any idea what the hell's going on.
Right, or you think about just some crazy madman who's just laying waste to everybody
Right.
who is, crazy.
Murdering children and women and just going crazy.
What about the warlord or warlords you had to work with and educate?
So, great question, because I think in the movie, if you look at the movie, a lot of things were done, but the best thing in that movie was how that team leader and that team had to establish rapport with that warlord and his folks before they could actually convince them to fight with them. And that is the tricky part of unconventional warfare. You've got to win that guy over. You got to show him that you can go to war with him, or he can go to war with you. And
He
you
doesn't
can
care
win.
because his whole entire life has been war. That's
War.
all he knows.
That's all he knows.
Right.
But can you do that?
Right.
Can you do that, Perry? What can you bring that I haven't already have? Or what can you do that I can't do?
Right.
And of course, we can talk with fast-moving aircraft that you can't see, and we can drop bombs. And while we're doing that, we'll encircle those guys, and we'll finish this thing up real quick, real nice and tidy. The other thing we can do is we can shoot.
Right.
Which is something that another thing that all over the world, when people link up with us and they fight with us, they're amazed at how well of a shot we are.
Yeah.
And it's not just our snipers, it's everybody on the team can shoot. We train to shoot because that's our lifeblood.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, they're shooting at you. Someone's going to shoot back.
Shoot back and make it count.
Yeah, it just happens we're a better shot.
In the construction industry, which is one of the industries we're in, we like to measure that by saying, measure twice, cut once.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same concept. Get
Yeah.
to
Right,
it.
so you get in the Army, you go Special Forces, you go to the Afghanistan, East Afghanistan, correct?
Yes.
East Afghanistan, and your sole purpose, once it comes down from the commander of what y'all can do, and he speaks to the president, your sole job once you get there and your group, and that's
12 guys.
12
Usually
guys.
About 12 guys.
right. That's your group. What is your job when you get there? What are you responsible for?
Yeah,
What are you-
responsibilities.
Here's what you're supposed to go do.
All right, so everybody on a team, probably just like you guys in the business world, you are counted on to do a certain job and to do it well, and to do it together, right? So there's a lot of levels to that. As a commander, overall in charge of everything that fails or succeeds. In the business world, I remember hearing one time, in business, you want to fail. If you fail, you want to fail fast so you can recover quickly and move on. Well, we don't have that luxury in the military. Failure is not an option, right? So we look at it as success from the moment we step on the ground with the team. Everything has to be successful. Anything that fails miserably, could be catastrophic. And so we plan accordingly, plan to succeed, everything. And the fellas, God bless them, man, they're just, it's a team mentality. Even though I'm the officer, I've got 11 other, one warrant officer maybe, and 10 other enlisted guys. We all live together, eat together, fight together, sleep together. We pull shifts together. Everything is one team, one fight, just like you hear about. But on a Special Forces team, there's only 12 of you.
Right.
And you're surrounded by, in my case, 900 guys that we grew as a fighting force who we didn't know they were going to turn on us from one minute or another.
Yeah.
And then
This is the
surrounded
warlord.
by
This is the
Taliban.
warlord. This is the warlords, guys.
This is the warlords, guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right?
So can I stop you real quick? I'm
sir.
sorry to interrupt, but I think that for me, I've always wondered, and I'm sure a lot of people that's going to be watching this wondered the same. How did you identify, number one, because we can wind up playing this into some other things in business later in the conversation, who was with you and who wasn't, and then how did you recruit the way that you did, the 900-strong army underneath you and your 11 other men?
All right, so I think first we got to think about a timeline.
Okay.
When we went into Afghanistan, we didn't have orders to come home,
Okay.
right? So in the Army, you're ordered to do, we had orders to go, but not return.
Okay.
So we had no idea how long we were going to be there at that time, which is different because usually it's a year. If you go to combat, it's a year. But for us, it was open-ended. So in that,
How did that? I gotta ask. How did that make you feel? The open-ended part. How did that make you feel and your family feel? How does that open-ended thing work
great question.
in that environment?
It affects the family more than it does the soldier, right? Because we're geeked up
Right.
the whole time.
You ready to go fight?
We're on this. We're all we were all in. There was nobody thinking twice about this. I mean, you got to remember what just happened to our country,
Right.
Right.
and we were all in. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and we're gonna defend all three of those things right here in Afghanistan.
Y'all heard that, folks. Defend those things.
Right.
And at all costs. And so that's what we're over there doing. So the family, the wife and the kids, they have no idea when we're coming back. They don't know when we're gonna hear from us. At that time, we didn't have the World Wide Web to talk on.
Sure.
2001, that was still kind of rudimentary in the military. I think we were doing some email, but that's about it. But we couldn't do it over there. I mean, they didn't have towers over there. We were literally using Russian maps to navigate and call bombs with.
Wow.
And because we didn't have the maps that we needed from the U.S. side. So for them, from that perspective, it was tough. It was tough on the wife, tough on the family, not knowing when we were going to come home or when they're going to hear from us. But most Special Forces wives kind of know that because they've been through that a little bit. But
Still
nothing
tough.
like
Still
this.
tough on the family, though.
Always tough.
without doubt.
Even if you know it, right? You know it's going to be a long 12-mile run, but man, it's going to suck.
So a lot of the times we always, around our country, you hear people, whether it's just lip service or heartfelt, we always thank our servicemen and women. But you don't necessarily hear the thanks that go out to the families of the servicemen and women. So
I think that's a super, super good point.
Yeah. I
really
think
good point.
Right here, right now, on this show today from Cowboy and Cadillac, thank you to all the families of our servicemen and servicewomen here in our country. We appreciate your sacrifice as well.
To all the wives.
Yes.
The kids.
Sons,
the
daughters,
parents, the
grandkids.
grandparents. Yeah,
Yes.
all of that side of it. It's this is touching. This is almost kind of tough to listen to when you hear about it because you know what he's up against. You know what he's going into, and you know the fight that's fixing to happen.
Well, and especially when you know what's going on in our country today.
Right.
Even with men and women like this and the families that sacrifice so much to fight for the things that it seems like the people are having to fight for today, or we better be.
Right.
Anyway, Perry, let's keep going.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, just
going back to distinguishing the difference between you're getting there and how do you know who's good and who's bad?
Who's good and who's bad. So that's you're relying on that warlord for the most part.
Tell us about the warlord. Hang on. I know I keep getting sidetracked, but the warlord thing's important. So what is this guy like? What we imagine is probably not the real thing. So what is this warlord guy?
So they're all kind of different characters, Right. You'd be a great warlord, cowboy. To be
Did y'all hear that? Great warlord.
Don't
right
tell
here.
him that.
No.
Don't tell him
this
that.
This is going to go over good at the office.
Yeah.
I promise.
There's
And
a lot of people that's agreeing with that right now. I can promise you. Yeah.
I need to send this out also to the pilot because I'm a war lord that I get to sit up in the front seat every now and then with him and fly the plane. So I mean, it's. Anyway, I just want to make
Scott,
sure.
don't let him fly home. Okay.
All right, so go ahead.
So there and
hang on, I want to say again, great warlord, cowboy right here. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we're gonna get you one in there, buddy.
Yeah.
So They have the influence in the area. That's the big thing, is they could influence the area, the people in the area. And in Afghanistan, it was kind of weird. All warlords had a different flag that they flew on their vehicles. So you could kind of distinguish what warlord was where and when you were changing territories. And they always had these checkpoints, right? This is how they made money. They would establish these checkpoints, and they get people that were driving through or walking through to pay them some money to get through the checkpoint. So when we got there, we okay, that's not how we do business.
That's not going to work.
That's not going to work. That's not going to work with America.
Right.
Which you got to be careful with.
Not a lot of freedom there.
Yeah, you got to be careful with imposing your will on people. Sometimes it's a balance. But so anyway, Kamal Khan was his name, and he had a brother that was also a warlord in another area. And they were just the Khans. The name should ring a bell, right? Anybody that had any type of influence was a Khan. Kamal Khan, Pacha Khan, whatever Khan. Okay. And then, so you would link up with those guys, and they would have the influence to get the people you needed to go out and do the fighting. And they knew the terrain, they knew the environment, they knew where, and you could tell even when they were kind of lying to you about, we could go there. Right. You could tell by their mannerisms, behavior, when they were worried about something. So then you knew, okay, we're getting ready to get in the bad guy territory. Okay. And then, so at the time, we're looking for Al Qaeda and the Taliban and anybody else who wants to come and rough up the Americans. We're willing to entertain that because there was all these different factions that started popping up.
And so when you got your orders are go in, and you're there to take out Osama bin Laden. You're there to try to find him, try to seek him out, and try to kill Osama. Right.
So there are my mission initially under Task Force K-Bar was that, looking for Osama bin Laden and his lieutenants and captains and whatnot. But when I rolled over to UW, unconventional warfare, it was more of a defeat the Taliban and Al Qaeda in this area of operations.
As a whole.
Gotcha. As a whole. And if you just happen to come up with somebody that knew something about bin Laden, more the better. Chase that rabbit hole. So that's kind of what we were all doing. And the horseback thing came about was because of the train. Quite honestly, it's just trying to get from one place to the other. I didn't assault the OBJ or the objective on horseback personally, but it was there in the movie, and I know the fellas that was 9-5, the team that was out there, they were doing the same thing everybody else was doing at the same time, just trying to defeat the Taliban and Al Qaeda. And here's the other thing: we forget we won that. We won. There is no doubt in anybody's mind, by the time 5th Special Forces Group was done, we won. Right. We had that country. We were establishing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for every single person there.
How were you received by the locals that
in Afghanistan?
Yeah, how did they look at not Taliban, were not Al Qaeda? How did those folks respond?
So my base camp ended up, I had to bring in a company of Marines to secure the base camp because so many people would show up for us to hold court. Wow. To try to figure out their disputes because they had nobody, no governance to do that. And they figure, well, you're the Jefe, you look like you know what you're doing. Can you help us out? We have a problem with our water. Okay, what's the problem? Yeah, we can't. Send some civil affairs folks over there and help them out with the water. And we would hold court in between fighting the Taliban and AQ just to be part of the people that we're living with and that was living on the outside of our base camp. And that was a daily occurrence, working with them.
If you don't mind, Perry, I wanted to point out this book. This book, The Talent War, was written by actually
a SEAL,
Navy SEAL, And
Unbelievable.
I want to just point this out
I
to
know
you. that
y'all are probably like, really, a
the-
seal?
The introduction here, this entire introduction and the opening of the introduction is actually written about Perry and the team that he led, who he is and the objective that they had and what they accomplished. The reason we want to point that out is because you are looking at and listening to a true bona fide American hero.
Right.
And we can't thank him enough for that. And then here on this show, obviously, you know what's very important to us is being God-fearing, gun-toting, free market capitalist is business as well. And what we found really interesting, besides, I mean, if one man couldn't do enough, here he comes back. We talked about doing business with like-minded people.
Right.